don't really care if anybody disagrees with me because that's my personal opinion. You're allowed yours, and I'm going to have my personal opinion. We don't have to agree, and that's totally okay. One of the unpopular opinions that I have is that when it comes to print and cut, and that is absolutely not true. Or for a lot of projects, Cricut consumer... Now, I don't want this to be just like a bash Cricut video. This is kind of a thing where people have their opinions and you're obviously entitled to your own opinion completely. And some of the things that I'm going to cover, I have seen people have strong opinions of one way or the other. So keep an open mind. And if you want to debate some of these things, please do so respectfully in the comments. Jump scare to a different version of Kelly. Oh, good morning. So great to see you all today. Now, a few days ago, I made a post on Facebook asking you guys for your unpopular Cricut crafting opinions. And whew, did you guys bring the tea? Actually, I'm kidding. This is totally empty right now because I need to go and have my lashes done quickly. They look awful. And also, can we just appreciate how good my hair looks? I literally just woke up, haven't brushed my hair, haven't done anything. Oh, the joys of going to sleep with wet hair. Anyway, let's go and have my lashes done, and then I'm going to get to some of the very controversial things that some of you have said about Cricut crafting. Ooh. But if I don't get going like literally 2 minutes ago, I'm going to be late. Valeka. Means to run closer. So as it turns out, I'm actually 5 minutes early and I didn't bring my camera with because I thought I was going to be late, but that's not a problem. Let's take a look at the first unpopular opinion that we're going to cover today. So Martha says that she's not impressed with smart vinyl at all. She's new to crafting since last year, I think she said. I have to remember these out of my head and my memory is awful. And she doesn't know if it's different to what it used to be. Now, it is no secret because I've released a video on this previously. Well, it was included in a video that I released previously that smart vinyl is not one of my favorite things either. It is useful to be able to cut without a mat, but the backing is so thick that if you're cutting small decals, it's actually really difficult to cut through. Smart vinyl also has different cut settings to regular vinyl. So if you are cutting smart shimmer or smart permanent or permanent, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well, the cut settings will be different because if you notice, you have a smart vinyl cut setting and then you also have a non-smart vinyl cut setting. So the actual vinyl itself is like a different thickness, which is pretty difficult, especially if you're new like Martha is, new to crafting since last year. Maybe you don't know all of those kinds of things. It is a little bit weird that they made them a little bit different. That is quite a good opinion. Thanks, Martha. But my lash tech is here, so let's go and get these lashes done. Excuse me, that was rude. I'm busy talking. But let's go get these lashes done because they look awful. I stress pick at them and I know that I shouldn't, but I can't help myself. Anyway, she's a miracle worker. Let's go get these lashes looking better. So now that we're back and we finally have the first cup of coffee for the day, first cup of coffee in a while actually, and today's cup of coffee sponsor is thanks to Mike. Mike said, "Hello Kelly, I hope you're doing well. Enjoy all the content that you share. I also appreciate all the time and effort that goes into making the videos." Well, thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate the fact that you guys enjoy the content that I make. And yes, lots of time and effort does go into making these videos. I can't even begin to explain, but I do it because of those kinds of comments and hearing what you guys have to say, providing value, and I'm so grateful that you enjoy the content that I make. So thank you again, Mike, for sponsoring today's cup of coffee. And if you would like the chance to get a shout out in one of my future videos, then you can visit my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Who knows, maybe you will be the next shout out that I give next. Thanks, Mike. Oh, that's still hot. Let's wait a little bit. And this next comment I'm taking from Civilized Diva on YouTube. It's quite a long comment explaining about the rollers, and we've had a few comments about the rollers on the machines as well, about the rollers coming off, and for me it's a known problem with the machines. But the one interesting part that they made in their comment was they said that in the US they have a store called Best Buy, and that you can get a subscription to something called the Geek Squad, where it allows people to bring in covered items to repair or replace them. Now, that's news to me, but it sounds like a fantastic idea. And what their suggestion was is that Cricut should partner with something like Best Buy to have like a repair service where it is something small like the rollers. Now, recently I've had myself a problem with the rollers disintegrating, not on one of my machines, but on one of my friend's machines, and she also left a comment there saying that when it's using those kinds of things, they should have it easily repairable, or at least offer you a way to repair it. And I kind of agree with that. If you're going to be having machines like this where you need the rollers to function, it's not like a little part of a clip broke off and the machine still works. Like, the rollers need to pull in the mat, otherwise you cannot use the machine at all. And I'm struggling to find the words for this one, but there should be some kind of a solution where you can actually take the machine in and have it repaired or something like that. And obviously, like, I don't mind paying for it because I don't want to take the machine apart and then break it. And I know that I probably could fix it, but I also have that kind of attitude where I know just enough to make myself dangerous to these kinds of technologies and things like that. So I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing, but I really agree with Civilized Diva's opinion of having some kind of a service where you can actually take a machine in somewhere to, like, a store or something like that, a repair center, and be able to have it fixed. And I'm not talking about sending it halfway across the country to have it fixed, because including all the courier costs and things like that, I may as well probably just buy a new machine at the end of it. Never mind the time that it's going to take and the chances of it getting stolen or damaged in transit. No, thank you. I want to go drop it off somewhere and then go and pick it up. Maybe that's just me being a non-civilized diva, unlike our friend on YouTube over there. But I think that's a really good point, and thanks for mentioning it. Now, I'm busy working on a project for a summit where I'm creating graphics and things like that, along with a tutorial to show people how to make something that I'm going to reveal in a couple of weeks' time. So make sure that you're signed up to my mailing list to get the announcement of the free summits that go live, because there are going to be some graphics and things like that that are going to be part of that summit. But I saw this unpopular opinion pop up a few times. I just wanted to add this disclaimer in here that nothing that I'm about to say is any kind of legal advice. Obviously, when it comes to copyright and legal contracts and things like that, you know, you can get into a little bit of hot water. So this is purely for entertainment purposes only. And while I have looked up the actual Cricut legal, you know, disclaimer contracty thing that you sign, and that is the screenshot that I'm going to be including, please know that I'm talking about opinions of others, and these are not necessarily my own opinions, because I don't want to get into trouble. Barbara said, with Cricut, you don't own your designs since you can't import them to use in other software programs. And this I totally agree with. Because of the fact that anything that you create in Cricut Design Space, you can't technically export into another program. At least you can't easily save it and bring it in. There are ways around it, but I think it is also against the terms of service for Cricut Design Space that you agree to when you sign up for it. And Adele did mention that there is a way to access those files on your computer, because when you save the project to your computer and to the cloud, but especially if it's using Cricut Access images, then it's unethical to use that anywhere else, because those designs are licensed to you to use in Cricut Design Space. And Cricut Access was another thing that quite a few people had some feelings about. And interestingly, they were on either end of the scale. And I'm kind of situated in both parties as well. So Karen said that you don't need Cricut Access to enjoy using your machine. And Karen, I cannot agree with you more. You absolutely don't need Cricut Access for everything. because there are so many free things that you can use and features and things like that that you can make use of, and you don't need to have and pay access to pay for Cricut Access every month. Wow, my words are just not here today. I think I need to have another sip of coffee. Thanks, Mike. And there are many other programs and things like that that you can sign up to, like Creative Fabrica, which is one of my favorites, and you have, So Fancy, design bundles, so many other things that you can use to create your designs for your Cricut projects. So you really don't need to use Cricut Access, although it is really useful to have it in Cricut Design Space. And that's what Ellen said. Ellen said, I am a fan of Cricut Access subscription. There's some who accuse Cricut of being misleading, that it's required in order to use the machines. And I have seen that myself as well. But like she says, they are upfront about, being able to use the machine for free and not having to pay for access. Access is an additional added on extra. There are lots of easy to use features, or features that make your life easier in Cricut Access, like the monogram feature, the background remover, the creator sticker. All of these features are paid for things, and like the layers feature they've just introduced in the upload section. But you can do all of those manually. Like, you can utilize your machine to its full capabilities without using Cricut Access. And I think that that's kind of what she's getting at there, is that a lot of people seem to think that Cricut are making you use these features or making you pay for it in order to use these features, but they're just features that make your life easier. You don't have to worry about the offset. You don't have to worry about going to another program to convert your design or picture into multiple layers. You can just do it in Cricut Access, or in Cricut Design Space. It's easier. So those features make your life easier, but they're not required. You can still use them elsewhere. But now, when it comes to designing and things like that, that's where I completely agree with everybody. And that's where I like to use Affinity as well. I do also use Silhouette Studio a lot when it comes to creating designs, because I can save these easily as an SVG, as a PDF. I can work. I'm familiar with the program. But when it comes to designing something in Affinity, it's also super easy, because once you've downloaded stuff from places like Creative Fabrica, you can just drag and drop it into Affinity, and you'll be able to play around with it in there. So you can just resize it, you can rotate it, you can create your own designs, and then they are yours to use. You can use them on your Silhouette, you can use them on your Cricut, on your Brother, on your laser cutter, sublimation, all of those kinds of things. I think that she has a point when it comes to that a lot of people think that they have to use Cricut Design Space for everything, and that is absolutely not true. Cricut Design Space is meant to be an easy designing software, and there are a lot of other features in other softwares that are way more advanced, but that make your life easier. So once you understand the basics of Cricut Design Space, try branching out. Try Silhouette Studio, try Affinity Designer. You can even use Canva if you want to. Somebody else mentioned that they design their things in Canva and then they bring them into Cricut Design Space. I'm not a fan of Canva personally, just because they have an annual subscription, and Affinity Designer, as an example, is a one-off fee. I'm not an affiliate with them. I just really enjoy the software. So I will leave links to those down below if you are interested in trying them out. Like I said, I don't earn anything from that. I just like to share that information with you, because learning how to use these softwares will make you a better designer, make you able to do more with your projects, so that you can get even more use out of your Cricut machines. So I'm actually busy designing some fun things in Affinity at the moment. So I kind of need to do that. And we're going to cover some other questions in a little bit. So as you can tell, it's a few days later. It's actually Friday, and I was originally filming on Monday. This week has been crazy, but I'm busy with a project for a gift fest thing that I'm busy doing, and I was looking at my print and cut page, and it reminded me of something that both Jessica and Zani had said with regards to print and cut. Now, as we all know, print and cut needs, registration marks, and there's a lot of white space along the edges. There's a lot of wastage when it comes to print and cut. And when it comes to using your Cricut for print and cut, yes, there is a lot of wastage. When I'm doing lots of print and cut projects where I don't need to worry about whether the project was designed in Cricut Design Space or in another program, I actually tend to use my Silhouette. My Silhouette has a much bigger flexibility when it comes to the actual printable area. So I end up using more of the media. But a lot of times, especially when it's designs that are like this size, I mean, these are quite big. So whether I do them in Silhouette or in Cricut Design Space, I might get one extra if I do it in Silhouette, just purely because of the space that I'm, gonna get mixed. So most of the time I end up doing them in Cricut Design Space, just purely out of habit because I'm used to using the software more, but sometimes I do end up doing them in Silhouette. And that's kind of one of the unpopular opinions that I have, is that when it comes to print and cuts, things are a lot easier, or at least customizable, in Silhouette, and I tend to use my Cameo probably far more than you would actually realize for things like print and cut. It achieves the same end result, but, you end up using up more space on your page. So while we continue with this project, let's talk about some of the other unpopular opinions that we had. Quite a few people ended up bringing up the consumables, the Cricut consumables, how the Cricut consumables are really expensive and how they have found better quality consumables from other projects or from other brands and things like that. And I couldn't agree with you more. We all know that Cricut doesn't really make money on their machines, and they actually make money on their consumables. So it would make sense as to why their consumables are more expensive than the products. I used to work in advertising, and we have something called coverage. And this is a principle that a lot of people use in business. When it comes to making and selling a product, if you sell one product at 100 Rand or $100, let's say, the conversion rate is not 1-to-1. It's actually like 1-to-17. But for argument's sake, we're going to leave it at 100. So if a product cost you 2 monies to make, and you sell that product at 100 monies, you've made 98 monies profit. But if a product costs you 2 monies to make, and you sell it at 4 monies, you have made 2 monies profit. Which means that in order to make the same profit as 100, you would need to make 50-ish of them, right? So a lot of the time, a lot of companies prefer to sell products at a higher price and sell fewer of them, because at the end of the day, you spend less time on the $100 product or 100 monies product than you do on the 2 monies product. So you end up making more money, even though you're selling far fewer. And I think that that's kind of what Cricut is doing. And no shade to them. I mean, that's their business model, by all means. But it does mean that for a lot of people, Cricut consumables aren't something that they can afford. And, I suppose Fred wants to say hi. And I suppose for a lot of people, or for a lot of projects, Cricut consumables... That was so cute. Cricut consumables aren't something that everybody has to afford, and that's totally okay. What you doing, my boy? Me? I think I'll be thinking about that. You're a little bit crooked. I think I'll be thinking about that little nose for a while. But Cricut consumables aren't necessarily something, or Cricut brand consumables aren't something that everybody needs to be able to afford. There are lots of other brands out there that offer the same, if not better quality products than what you can get from Cricut. And quite frankly, a lot of those brands have a lot more variety in their products than Cricut does. You're able to buy in bigger quantities. So instead of buying 1.2 meters or 12 feet, I think it is, you can buy per meter. So you can buy 3, 4, 5 meters. Their packaging is a little bit different, or at least they don't have packaging, which means that you're paying less for your items because it's not running through production of packaging, design of packaging, somebody or a machine actually putting that product into that particular packet. So when it comes to buying a lot of these products and things like that, like I said, you end up winning by not buying the Cricut brand. But then you also have problems because maybe the consistency isn't the same, and When it comes to a lot of brands like Cricut, they have to sacrifice price for quality and or consistency of product. For some other brands, maybe their product is pretty consistent, but you'll probably find that you'll get a more consistent cut through a brand that's selling a higher ticket item because they're discarding all of the product that may be, 1 micron too thick because they know that it, then won't cut on their machines or things like that. So when it comes to buying these products for your machines, yes, you absolutely can get cheaper products elsewhere. Some of them are fantastic quality. Some of them may be even better than the Cricut brand because, yes, I think Cricut is very much like an Apple type situation where they rely on people buying the brand name as opposed to buying the actual product themselves. Because their brand is very popular and very well known, they know that they can mark up the price a little bit, make a little bit more money than they would if it were an unknown brand that relies on people looking for a bargain more than relying on the brand name. Not trying to defend them on anything, but that is just my kind of unpopular opinion, maybe. And even so, with that being said, one of my favorite non-Cricut brands is TechWrap. And here in South Africa, we have a supplier called Maisie's. They sell the Politape, which is actually also now available on Amazon. So I'll leave a link to some of that down below because their HTV is fantastic. It's kind of on the same level, or maybe for me a little bit better than that of TechWrap. It is quite expensive, I'm not going to lie. But for us here in South Africa, it's a little bit cheaper than what it is for you guys in the US on Amazon. But the quality, I have never had a problem with that. So there are many, many brands and alternatives that you can use to the Cricut materials. And there are a lot that I love. And as an example, I won't even touch the Cricut iron-on. I don't like Cricut iron-on at all. I've used it many times and I've had loads of problems with it. So it's not a type of material that I will actually ever use anymore. So I couldn't agree with you guys more when it comes to the price doesn't always mean that you're getting the best quality. So definitely do some shopping and figure out what kind of products you like. And now the meneer is hungry because now he's moaning and it's right on lunchtime. So let's go have some lunch. Now you would have seen me in this state a few times in the beginning of this video or earlier on in this video. It's Friday evening. I want to say it's the Friday after the Wednesday that you saw in the previous clip. It's not, it's 2 weeks later. I finally want to wrap up this video and get it out to you guys so that you guys can experience it and have fun as well. So I have my current crochet project that I'm pretty sure I'm doing completely wrong because it's fanning out way too much. And even though I followed the instructions, I'm pretty sure I've gone wrong somewhere. But I'm going to cover the last few little controversial opinions that we have. There's 2 in specific that I want to cover. And the first one that I'm going to cover is... No man, what did I do here now? Oh, right, okay. Getting confused on my own crochet project that I put down like 10 minutes ago. So the first one that I want to cover is a silhouette one. Now, basically, if you guys don't know silhouette, then you will know when I'm obviously talking and not counting my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. This is going to be really tricky. I don't normally talk while I'm crocheting. Like, I barely even listen because I'm in my head I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then 5. So I'm saying so a lot. Anyway, basically, for those of you that have never had a silhouette, then you may not know that a silhouette is actually ridiculously loud. I know that they've said that they've made the Cameo 5 a lot quieter now, but if you don't know I'll put a clip in here of the loudness of the silhouette. When I got my first Cricut and I put it on and cut something for the first time, I was like,
oh my heavens, this is absolutely amazing, because and that's kind of one of the main things that sold me on the machine, was because of the fact that it was so much quieter than my Silhouette. So while I don't think that that's an unpopular opinion, I think it's a very unpopular one, maybe with Silhouette themselves. So I've got a few unpopular opinions that I want to just kind of rapid fire through. Dana says that we should be able to customize the settings for the craft knife. It makes no sense that we can't. Dana, I cannot agree with you more. I think that not being able to customize the settings for your craft knife, and obviously by craft knife I think she means the knife blade, is very, very silly. I don't understand why we can't customize them, but you've got to really pay attention while you're cutting with the knife blade. Oh, come on, come. Dankie, Millie. Okay, dankie hoor. My husband brought me tea in my upside down mug. It's literally one of my favorite mugs. I made it myself before a live stream, and I wasn't focusing on what I was doing because I was prepping for the live stream, and obviously put the sublimation paper upside down. But it was so much fun because in the live stream that became like a huge thing for everybody. They thought it was so much fun. It was over on the Crafting Adventure YouTube channel with Jennifer Swift and Amy Romeo, and that was the most fun live streams I've had with other people ever, literally ever. It was great. Okay, and the next one, Eileen, says the foil stabbing thing doesn't sharpen the blade. If all else dulls it, better off using a wet wipe to clean off the residue. And this is something that I know that a lot of people kind of tout as, oh, it actually does work, but how can aluminium foil sharpen carbide steel? So I completely agree with you on that one. That is very, very true. And that probably does make you unpopular in some circles, but you are right at home in this one. Now I've kind of saved two of the most controversial unpopular opinions for last, and I'm going to go with my kind of personal one first. Very often there's this Hatfields and the McCoys thing when it comes to Cricut and Silhouette. People, it's very much like you're either in one camp or you're in the other camp, and you're not allowed to play with the enemy or anything like that, which in all honesty I think that's a load of what. I love my Cameo. I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't sell my Cameo ever, and if it breaks I will buy another one and always have a Cameo. I also will never get rid of my Cricut. I find that the Cricut is fantastic at so many different things, and my Cameo and my Silhouette and whatnot are just leagues better at certain things like print and cut and the design aspects of things and things like that. But don't ask me to cut anything else on my Cameo because, okay, maybe it's because I tried it when I was more inexperienced. I'd probably be better at it now, but I don't enjoy cutting a lot of things on my Silhouette. And again, maybe that's user error, but that's just kind of how I feel, and I don't really care if anybody disagrees with me because that's my personal opinion. You're allowed yours, and I'm going to have my personal opinion. We don't have to agree, and that's totally okay. And I think there was a point in my career where I was scared of voicing my opinion. I really don't care anymore, because as long as you're happy with your machine and I'm happy with my machine, I genuinely don't see where the problem is. And now for probably the spiciest one that we have, and it comes from a very passionate individual, and everybody that knows her will know that she's very vocal about her opinions, which not always a bad thing. I mean, it's one of the things that I love about her the most. My good friend Robin. Now, there were a couple of opinions that she left, and one we've already covered earlier on when it came to the rollers, but this one is about removable versus permanent vinyl. So when it comes to vinyl, or Cricut classifies their adhesive vinyl as either removable or permanent. Technically, all vinyl is removable. It just means whether some is going to be easier to remove or some is going to be more difficult to remove. And while I do believe that removable vinyl has its place, especially on like your softer kind of surfaces, like if you wanted to put it on a wall or something like that, but that's kind of what we would call promotional vinyl. It has a lower tack. Fred! No! Come after! Look at where he is. What are you doing? Come after! Kom hier so. Okay, that was interesting. He never does that. And sorry, my Afrikaans always comes out when I'm speaking to my animals. So for those of you that don't understand what I just said, you know, I'm going to add subtitles. That's fine. But that's the other language that I speak at home, mostly to my pets and my husband, of course. I have literally no idea where I was in my sentence. I think we were talking about removable vinyl being a little bit more like a lower tack on the actual the adhesive that it has, because of course it's probably a cheaper, more diluted adhesive, I would imagine, and it needs to be able to come off a little bit easier. So removable vinyl and promotional vinyl would probably be on the same level. So by calling it permanent vinyl, I've kind of always felt this way as well, that no vinyl is permanent because all the vinyl has a lifespan. The adhesive on the vinyl has a lifespan, and I suppose that's probably what they mean by permanent. It's permanent for the duration of its lifespan, but that's also misleading to some people because they may not know that the vinyl that you bought is only going to be on for 2 to 3 years, and then you'll have to actually look in the product information on the website to find out, oh, it's actually a 3 to 5 year vinyl or something like that. So just keep that in mind when you are looking at vinyl, because a lot of people might have opinions about those kinds of things, and you know, that's a very unpopular opinion when it comes to like the Cricut side, so that's very interesting. But anyway, I'm going to start editing this section that I've just filmed now and drink my tea, and then I'll probably finish off my crochet. I've probably got like 5 rows or something like that. I mean, it's totally fine, and I've probably got like 6 stitches in each one as opposed to 5, but also, or 4. I think that one I've got 4. Also totally okay, but I've got some fun videos coming up, and my channel members are going to be able to see this. I'm hoping to put it out tonight. I've only got 1 section left to edit, and then I'm going to put it up, and then I'm going to start working on the next one. So my channel members will get, you know, early access to the videos, so they'll be able to see all of these fun things earlier than everybody else. And then I'm going to film some destashing videos tomorrow, because I'm trying to get rid of the stuff that I have in my room. I've got far too much, and I've got some fun videos coming up that I need to have a little bit more space for. Well, at least a little bit more mental space. So that's coming up, and I'm very excited for you to join me on this fun journey. So don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one, and remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.